Hey, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. I'm your host, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, coming to you live from Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay, well, maybe not live if you're watching this on YouTube, months from now, but I'm live at the moment I'm recording it. And what I want to talk about today with regards to the toy industry is when things reset. When you see something and then suddenly it looks a little different, but you feel like maybe you've seen this before and you're not quite sure why it looks different. Well, that's because retail twice a year brings in their magical black cat and it walks across the toy aisle and suddenly everything changes. And all the toys that were there only a week before are suddenly different. So what is this? I want to go through the what, the why, the how, and what you can benefit from by understanding retail resets as a toy collector. All right, so in the category of the what of a reset is simply that. Twice a year, retailers, and I'm talking big box retailers, meaning Target, Walmart, Meijer, Fred Meyer, that type of thing. In February, which is called the spring reset, and then this is again done later in the year before the holidays, and this is called the fall reset, and it happens in August. Now, it doesn't always happen at the same week, and not even in the same chain. For example, with Target, one Target on one side of town might do it the first week of August, another one might do it the second week of August. Either way, it's Judgment Day. And by that, I mean this is when toy aisles are reviewed as far as what's working and what's not working. Because, well, big box stores want to maximize the pegs and they want to maximize real estate, which is how they look at all of the aisles. Every peg, every square foot of an aisle, whether it's scented candles or carrots or cheese graters, have to earn their keep, meaning they have to do a certain amount of what are called turns or customer purchases per week, per peg, per shelf space. And aisle managers want to be set up for success. They want their aisle to do the best possible, which means they may have to come in and do a little whacking. And that's actually probably the most appropriate way of looking at it because they're going to sort of hand out the death sentence for certain toys and certain items. So who gets this death sentence? Who gets removed from the aisle? Well, there's not one clear category. There are several. One is, well, I guess the overarching one is if the toy line is an epic fail, as people like to say in memes online, although I don't think anyone actually at a big box store would call it this physically. It could be because the movie fails in some way. Maybe it doesn't perform. Maybe it gets pushed out and it doesn't correlate with the toy release date. So you have toys on shelf for a movie that has been pushed out for one reason or another, i.e. COVID. This happened with several of the Marvel movies and G.I. Joe movies in 2020, 2021. It could also be because the toy physically doesn't work. As an example, Jakks Pacific did this toy called 3D It to make small wax figures, and it didn't work. It didn't actually do what it was supposed to do, and it wound up burning kids' hands and basically got pulled from the market over this. So it could be for, content not working. It could be because the mechanics of the toy don't work. Or it could be as simple as children just not being interested in the toy. Maybe they're more into screens. Maybe they're more into cars versus action figures or dolls versus ponies. There's a million reasons. Every kid is different, but stores want to be ready for the season. And by that season, I mean the holiday season, because that's when they do the bulk of their sales, because everyone wants to give gifts, because there's nothing parents love more than seeing a smile on their child's face. Believe me. And having all of your pieces in place on the board and ready to more or less go into battle for the holiday season is very important. And it's why big box stores will judge the performance of toys from the previous season to see whether or not they're ready to be placed on the board to head into the holiday season. And, regardless of what holiday you celebrate, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, Arbor Day, you want to see that smile on your child's face. And that's why the toy aisle is ramped up. So how does this happen? How do they identify toy lines that are not performing and more or less remove them from the aisle? Well, there are direct and there's indirect ways of doing this. First off, It's a process called delisting. And I'm not talking about like a D-list actor or actress, although it is kind of very similar. But delisting in the retail and the toy industry means that a retailer has reviewed sales data from a product line from the previous season, which is 6 months, meaning since the February reset, and it's not that they're mad at a product line, it's just that they're disappointed that it hasn't met sales expectations. And more or less, they have to fire that toy line, if you think of it, or evict that tenant, if you're looking at it from a real estate point of view. And, it could be a toy line that's very beloved, that the toy buyer really likes, but at the end of the day, money talks, and it has to basically back up a toy that's going to perform and not be a mess that they have to clean up, because that costs money and it's a whole other issue and no one wants that. And after evaluating sales data and sometimes even focus groups, we have to figure out,
no one's getting replaced.
So, how do you know when this is going to happen? How can you prepare for a reset? And even more importantly, as a toy collector, how can we take advantage of the when of a reset happens? Because there are major advantages. Obviously, there is going to be the issue that a toy line you like might be going away, but regardless, what are the telltale signs that the reset is coming? Other than the fact that August and February are approximately when it happens. Well, one, you can see whether or not a toy line is selling through or peg warming. If there are just a ridiculous amount of units of product on shelf, it's a good chance it's being reviewed for delist. If it's on clearance, that is definitely a sign, because clearance is the way that big box retail removes product from their shelves as quickly as possible. So if you start to see a brand going on clearance, especially multiple SKUs, well, that's when we basically get an idea that it's being removed from aisle and it's going to be replaced by something that'll be more productive. And the closer that we get to the resets in February and August, the more the clearances are going to happen. And again, while it does hypothetically, well, actually literally mean the death of certain toy lines at big box retail and the removal from the aisle, there is good news, and there's a bright side to this. And that is, if you can pinpoint when the reset happens to the day, you are going to have one of the best toy runs ever, because there is one single day, twice a year, so 2 days, when new toys are guaranteed to be put out. It's a perfect day to toy hunt. And you're going to find the latest waves. You're going to find all new figures. You're going to find a huge amount of stuff. So it might hurt your wallet, but if you go up to the customer service desk and simply ask them, what day will the reset be happening? Usually they're going to tell you. You can find someone who will tell you. You might have to ask a few people, but finding out this date will give you a huge advantage as a toy collector and a toy hunter, because you'll have an amazing hunt that day. So, while it might mean the end for certain toy lines, it does at least mean you're going to have a day you're guaranteed to find a lot of cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if I missed anything or you'd like me to elaborate in the comments below. Thanks for sharing it. I appreciate that. It helps the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.